So let's bring in Republican Senator from Louisiana, John Kennedy. Senator, let me get you, first of all, to react to what you heard the president talking about there.
John, if I could sit the president down today one-on-one, and I did just listen to his comments, here's what I'd tell him. I'd tell him, Mr. President, you're a nice man. I would say, Mr. President, I know you want what's best for America. But, Mr. President, and I say this gently, you've got to stop being a chump. There's no future in it. There's no future in it for you or for the American people. You've got to go back to the White House, and you've got to fire all these wokers that don't really care about America. Yes, we have inflation. It was caused in part by the wokers in the White House, including but not limited to their economists. We can get it under control. Here's how we do it. Turn to Congress and say freeze all spending. You've got a budget, live within your budget. The only extra spending we're going to do is to help Ukraine. Number two, he needs to tell Congress, confirm Jerome Powell. Okay, and then he needs to turn to Jerome Powell, not directly. He can say this publicly and say, Chairman, do whatever you've got to do to squeeze the liquidity out of this economy without throwing us into a recession. But he's insulting the American people by blaming the inflation, which predates the war, on Putin and greedy businesswomen and price gouging and fertilizer. I mean, it's an insult to the American people. And
Senator,
that's what I tell him.
Speaking of firing people, one of the people that you'd like to fire is the new head of the new Disinformation Governance Board and everyone associated with it. Senator Tom Cotton has introduced legislation that would disallow funds to establish that board. Similar measure in the House. Congresswoman Lauren Boebert from Colorado tweeting about that, saying, I don't think people are fully understanding the severity of what a ministry of truth organized by DHS truly means. This is Stalin level. This is Mao level. This is the hill to die on. Can you prevent it from being funded?
Yes, we can, and we'll have to if it gets that far. Look, I meant what I said. The Biden administration needs to stop being a chump. I mean, whoever talked them into establishing a ministry of truth? I mean, think about it. The government is going to tell us what's true or not. The government's going to tell us what we can believe and what we can't. What could possibly go wrong? Number two, to pick Miss Jankowicz, you know, I'm sure that Jesus loves her, but everybody else on Capitol Hill thinks she's bizarre. I mean...
Well, that was an unusual TikTok video that she had out there.
I mean, she says, I believe only in the truth. Well, she's already said that I believe the Steele dossier, which alleged that President Trump hired prostitutes to urinate on each other. She's vouched for that.
Here's something else, Senator, that she believed in, because she tweeted this on November the 1st, 2016. Let's put the tweet up on the screen. Trump had not one, but 2 secret email servers to communicate with influential Russian bank. Unbelievable. Yeah. That is disinformation.
Let me tell you what Ms. Jankowicz will do if she gets power. She will devour the real truth like it was a light snack. What's true, in her opinion, is what she believes, and everybody else is a moron because she's one of the smartest people on the planet, in her opinion. Just ask her. Yeah. And you don't need somebody like that in government, but we don't need a ministry of truth. Sometimes it was just a dumb idea. Sometimes stupidity is painful.
Senator, I wanted to ask you about these protests against the conservative Supreme Court justices. Governor Glenn Youngkin has asked the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors to dispatch the Fairfax County Police to put a security perimeter around their homes. There's a law, 18 U.S. Code subsection 1507, that prohibits people from doing exactly what they're doing. Our Hillary Vaughn caught up, there it is right up there on the screen. I don't want to read all the way through it, but our Hillary Vaughn caught up with Ilhan Omar and asked her whether or not these people were breaking the law. Let's listen to that exchange.
Do you think that these protesters should be prosecuted for breaking federal law?
What is the federal law?
It's U.S. Code 1507. So you think it's okay for these pro-abortion protesters to go outside?
Supreme Court judges have heard a case. They themselves have said it is protected by the First Amendment for people to protest.
Outside of the house,
To protest outside of everywhere.
All right, so let's do a little fact check here. Actually, it was in 1983, United States versus Grace, that SCOTUS weighed in on this. They ruled that that law did not apply to the sidewalk outside of the Supreme Court building. They said nothing about the justices' homes or attempts to influence them. So in that case, the law would appear to stand, Senator.
Well, look, we all see what's going on. An opinion, a draft opinion leaked from the Supreme Court. We don't know if it's going to be the final opinion. The neo-socialist left has become completely unglued. Their response is as disappointing, I guess, as it was predictable. Burn the place down, intimidate the justices, kill the filibuster, pack the court. I have no problem with peaceful protests. I'm all for peaceful protests. Emphasize peaceful. But if you're going to protest in front of a person's home, be respectful, be peaceful. Understand the person who lives there has neighbors.
Yeah.
Don't be ugly. Don't be strident. I mean, I read one of their tweets the other day that said you will never feel safe until you're rotting in the ground.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, that's just not right. It's just not right.
Twitter didn't even suspend that person who was calling for more violence, by the way. She was referring to the Wisconsin pro-life firebombing. She did delete her account, but Twitter didn't do anything about it. I want to bring up one more point, if I could, Senator, because I think this is an important one to make. Because the home addresses of these justices was published so that people could rally outside there. And it's fine. They're peaceful protesters, you could say, but, you know, there are crazies in this world. One of those crazies showed up on the doorstep of Judge Esther Salas, who's a U.S. District Judge in the state of New Jersey. Yeah. This person shot her husband, shot and killed her son. Here's what she told us yesterday.
We no longer have Daniel on this earth. We no longer have our son. And why? Because I was doing my job. And there is no room in America for this kind of conduct. I am also begging our leaders to understand this is not a partisan issue.
Not a partisan issue. She is an Obama appointee. Publishing justices' home addresses can be dangerous, Senator, can it not?
Yes. And our founders intended for judges to be different. And for the longest time in America, we treated judges differently. And by that, I mean they're not policymakers. Judges decide to call the balls and the strikes, and they have to make some hard calls. But they're not politicians in robes. They're judges. But this new group that has taken over from my friends in the Democratic Party don't see it that way. And their attitude is, we have a monopoly on the truth. We want what you want. And if you don't disagree with us, we will destroy you. And that's not the America that most Americans want.
Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana, good to catch up with you this afternoon, sir. Thanks for hanging through the president's remarks. Appreciate it.
You bet.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.